Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here with psychic medium and remote viewer Liz Cross on this 27th day of September 2022. How are you doing today, Liz?
Oh, very well, thank you. How are you?
Fine. Yeah,
Great.
fine. Right, so I've had this idea, which I just want to put out there, and I know you'll want to expand on it. But I think people need to understand how this sort of works. Now, I'm going to use my own very simple explanation. I have just found a property on Zoopla. I have no idea where this property is. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm not going to buy it. Oh, it's in Handsworth, somewhere in Birmingham. Okay. And so here's the thing. If I say to you, Liz, take me out 3 months and I show you this picture, and this could be a car, this could be a boat, this could be anything, and I say to you, have I bought this house, or am I going to buy this house? And you might turn around and say, no, Mr. Shakespeare, you're not going to buy that house. I don't see you buying it. You've looked into the future, or you've taken me into the future, look back and know you didn't buy it, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. However, next week, a week and a half's time, I wake up one morning and I look at this house and I think, you know what, I'm going to buy it. Does that mean Liz's predictions and what she said is wrong? No, it doesn't, because what happens is when she makes these predictions, that's assuming the timeline does not change. We all have the power, and other people have the power to change timelines. And so if I wake up one morning in a week's time and go, you know what, I'm going to buy this house, so I decide to buy it, okay, I've now changed the timeline. We're now on a new timeline. Am I right with that, Liz?
Yeah, so that's a good way of putting it. So here's the deal. Usually when somebody, like if you came to me and asked me if you're going to buy this property, I actually would bring in two sources. So first of all, I would move you out into the future. And then if I have a good connection with a loved one in spirit, I would have them on standby to cross-reference the information, right? Particularly when it pertains to something this personal. Now, if it's just talking about the markets, forget it. But if it's talking about something like I want to purchase a house, I want to purchase a car, am I going to marry this person? Am I going to get into this university? Things like that. Am I going to have this job? I'll cross-reference it like that in two ways. Now, for this, obviously it's a no, right? And I would move you out into the future. Now, a lot of times when I'm doing a future self reading, I always say to the person when they're having a future self reading that if there's any specific information that your future self is reporting back that you do not like, then you have the power to change that information. So a prime example would be somebody who is going to have their car repossessed. Okay, so I look into the future a year out and I tell them your car is going to be repossessed. Oh no, I need my car. I have to have a car. Okay, so what are you going to do to change that information in order that your car doesn't get repossessed, right? So the person having the reading is not making their car payments. They're not looking for a job. They're not, they're maxing out their credit cards. They're taking out loans that they can't afford because they just are adamant they're not going to ever work ever again. And they're just rolling in the debt, right? And unless they actively change that information, the next time they may come through for a reading, it's like, oh, well, you have managed to keep your car because you have got a job, you've got out of debt, and et cetera, right? So really the future self readings are based upon where you are right now. So right at that point you are having the reading, it is based upon your circumstances, and that would be the most probable outcome for you. Okay? Where everything stands now, that's the most probable outcome. But again, if you don't like that information and the outcome, the most probable outcome, you can change that. Oh, you're still working that job that you hate going into every day, 2 years or 3 years down your timeline, and it hasn't changed. And so you say, oh God, I just can't take another day. So I'm going to use that information and I can see where I'm heading. And now I'm going to start applying for new jobs. Now, I also, what I would do at that point, if I have a really strong connection to a loved one in spirit, I would then, check with the loved one in spirit, what's going to happen? Are they going to change jobs? How long is it going to take? And et cetera, et cetera. So that's how that works. Price points. When I'm moving somebody out into the future, and a prime example would be this weekend. This weekend, I had lots and lots and lots of crypto readings. So I'm moving people out into the future and I'm reporting back. Okay. And so a lot of times when I'm moving the person out into the future and I'm reporting that information back, it depends upon the information, but they may not have the ability to change that information. So say they have 100 Bitcoin and they buy 100 Bitcoin and they want Bitcoin to go up to $100,000. Okay. And they want me to look by the end of next year and they want to hear that Bitcoin is $100,000. They're a gazillionaire, whatever they would be. Right. And they're really happy. So at that point, we would really need to probably move a non-emotional entity, which is an exchange, a platform, and find out the price of Bitcoin instead of just really moving that person out, because you're emotionally attached to that information. You already know what you want to hear. And you want me to say to you that it's going to be $100,000. You're going to be rich. You're never going to have to work again. You're going to meet the man of your dreams. You're going to buy a yacht. You're going to sail around the world. There's no storms. There's no big waves. Life is rosy. But it doesn't happen that way. So if you are hell bent on how your outcome is going to be, and you come to me for a reading, you're going to be, first of all, sabotaging your reading. And second of all, you're going to be very disappointed. What else can I say about that? I don't know. Any other questions?
No, I think I just wanted to get that out there because as this grows bigger and you're getting more and more members now and everything, people need to understand, and obviously they all come to you for readings, but they really do need to understand how this works. You have the ability, we have the ability to change things, as you said. So, again, if you don't like, what you're hearing on the future self or the channel reading, then do something about it, change it.
Yeah. And the other thing, just to add to that, I don't believe in just coincidence, right? So I think that everybody that turns up at my door, my psychic door, is there for a reason. Somewhere we have made a soul contract where you're going to turn up and you're going to ask me and I'm going to help you along your spiritual journey, right? I always believe that, whether you're doing the CTT, whether you're on the Patreon, whether you turn up for a reading, whether you're listening to my videos, whatever it is, okay? I always believe that you're supposed to be there. So sometimes, actually a lot of times when I'm moving people out into the future, they're getting information back that they really don't like, okay? And I think maybe this is Spirit's way of giving them such a hard dose of reality that it makes them shift gears in their life, right? It's true. I just feel like something has got to make you shift gears And that could be having a reading with me and getting that information reported back to you that you don't like, and then you make a shift. So it could be, and I don't actually know the answer to this, but I'm speculating. It could be that that information that's reported back to you was supposed to happen in order to make you change anyway. I don't know what, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Who knows? But that, so I do have that fatalistic sense about me where I think you have to have that information reported back. And, I don't lie to people in my readings. That's one thing. People get frustrated because, like I said, they get told what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And that's how spirit works. And that's how you have a genuine psychic medium when they're telling you what you need to hear. Okay, you're telling you what you want to hear. That's not helping you. Okay, it just isn't going to help you. If I say to you, Mr. Shakespeare, you know what? Somebody's going to airdrop you 500 Bitcoin tomorrow, right? And
Yep.
Bitcoin is going to go up to $1 million each by the end of the year. Okay. Maybe that's something you fantasized about, and that's what you want to hear. So if you're just going to a psychic and not a psychic medium, and I always tell people this is so important, you have to be choosy of the type of reading you're going for. If you are just going to a psychic, the psychic is going to pick up on how you feel about a certain situation, because they're just reading the energy. They don't know where the energy is coming in from. They're just telling you what they're getting. So if they're giving you a reading, Mr. Shakespeare, and they're saying to you, well, you know what, tomorrow airdrop, I don't know where, 500 Bitcoin is just going to fall into your wallet. And then by the end of this year, it's going to be $1 million a coin. Oh my God. Well, that's because the psychic can only grab the information, and most of the time it's what you want to hear. Now, if you are just going to a medium, all that medium can do is channel. Okay, so they're not getting that feeling and that psychic information in, right? They're just channeling. Actually, just channeling is probably a more reliable source of information than going to a psychic who is just working on how they feel and the images or whatever's coming into them. Okay, you're probably going to a medium is more reliable than going to a psychic. Then you have the category of a psychic medium, which I fall into. So I have clairaudient, clairsentient, I have the full works. So I channel in through the third eye, your loved ones in spirit. I can also, at that time, I tend to do a mixture of both. But because I've studied remote viewing, okay, I know how to place where I'm pulling that information. And for those of you that are very new to remote viewing, that's how it teaches you kind of how to do that. If you get very good at it. And being that I'm a natural psychic medium, I can do it automatically. So at the same time I'm channeling, I'm pulling in psychic information, but I am not pulling that information in from you. I am pulling that information from whatever the target may be. Okay. Now, doing those future movements, those pushing and pulling you into the future, okay, that is a very unique, and I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here, okay, but I don't know anybody else who can do this. I've actually interviewed a couple of psychic mediums who I thought may be able to do it. They couldn't. So unfortunately, I was going to add them to the books because I'm so booked out. And I thought, well, if I can get other people to do what I'm doing, they can help me go through these readings. I can't find anybody who can do it, unfortunately. So this moving people around and moving things out into the future is a very unique remote viewing skill. And that is where we're viewing the timeline out, and that information is coming back in. Now, that is a combination. Well, that is, combination of all my skills. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. What I have noticed since I've been doing this is timelines extend and timelines can shorten. So I noticed there was a period around the beginning or sort of springtime this year, springtime for USA, not Australia, springtime this year, where we all thought that March was going to be this bull run. Okay. Well, I noticed that come around the time of May or June, I can't remember exactly, so I'm sorry if it's wrong. That's when we saw the bull run. So the timeline actually got extended out. Okay. Now, there was a very specific information that I was pulling about a very important individual. And we got that there would be a massive event in the new year regarding this individual. Well, I've noticed that the timeline seems to have come back in. So where it was extended out from the springtime and into June, now it's almost like corrected itself and it's pulling itself back in. And so that really was interesting to me also, the fact that the timeline can extend and it can pull back. And of course, the information can change. So as far as we were looking last year going into this year about the markets. The markets looked really good. In fact, if we would have stayed on track, we would not be in the situation that we're in now with the economy. However, Putin declares war. Okay. That changed everything. So now you got the energy crisis. Now you got the oil crisis. Now you got, people being killed. Now all these things that come into play with war. And I find what happens is war is such a dark entity, such a dark, event, that it acts as a magnet because like attracts like. Okay. So when you have this massive dark pull, it starts to pull everything down with it. So here you go. Here comes the vacuum. The vacuum's turned on, and now we've got the economy, and now we've got the British pound, and now we have other currencies, and now we have gold and silver, and now we have the crypto market, now we have the stock market. And until that mess is cleaned up out there, doesn't seem like it's going to recover. So that dark energy is a huge factor in how the world is run, because it's all about energy. It's all about magnetic pull, and it's pulling in the darkness. We always have to remember that there's a battle going on between light and dark. It's just like one of those superhero films that my kids watch, right? There's the dark villain and then there's the superhero. It's the same thing. It's the same principle. There's always a battle of light and dark. And when you have something like war, then the dark is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then, it brings about all these life lessons. Then you have the free will to choose how you feel about these situations. Now, what you do is if you start to, become more religious, become more spiritual, just like, the big C word that we've had over the past couple of years, and I can't say it because we'll get shut down, but excuse me, that's made people more spiritual. And what that does is it sends out more white light energy, right? So it's always a battle of energy. So hopefully that will explain how things can change. You can actually change the things on that timeline. Looking too far out into the future, I am totally against that. I don't think that that's as accurate. The further out you go, as far as the markets are concerned, I feel that there's so much room for error. So the closer the energy is to where you are right now, okay, the more accurate that's going to be.
Okay.
And that's your Tuesday morning lecture from Liz Cross.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I should have a class, Psychic 101.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that
Actually,
covers
the
everything.
psychics won't teach you that because most of them don't know. It's just that I have been, really blessed to get this information and be able to do what I do. I mean, I think of it as a blessing. I have so much gratitude, and I just like to be able to share it. Now, should people be acting upon this information about the markets? No, you should not. You should just take it as, yes, I feel empowered. This could possibly happen, but I'm going to check other sources as well, right? And that's how you should do it. There are different sources out there. I don't know which one. You have to find out which one aligns to you, but you need to look for alignment and consistencies. You should not be acting upon my information alone, although it is very helpful. So, and I just thank everybody for listening to me, jibber jabbering on. That's what I do best. I jibber jabber. Okay. Any other questions?
No, that's it. I don't have any more questions because I'm getting 500,000 Bitcoin tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you are. And then I'll have to find a new interviewer because you'll be on your yacht swanning around. Two yachts. Oh, sorry. One for you, one for the missus. You guys are so funny. Yeah, and don't forget, Bitcoin's going to go up to $1 million by December 31st. Yeah, right. And that's another thing, just to add that out there is, Liz, how come, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, Liz, how come your predictions are so different to everybody else's predictions? That's because, first of all, just to say it for all the new people, Liz isn't involved in crypto. Okay. I don't care what price Theta is going to get to. I don't care about Cardano. I don't care about XRP. I really could care less about Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of that. And that's not to be mean. That's a benefit to everybody who follows me and who listens to us, right? Because I am not emotionally involved in crypto whatsoever. I don't care what happens to crypto. That's what you need. If you're following people that are orchestrating pump and dumps because they know that they have a significant following, so whatever coin they put out, you buy it immediately, it's going to shoot up in price. They've already pulled the rug. They've already pulled their holdings out, but it's still shooting up in price and you're going to make some money. Okay, but then a lot of people won't make money. They buy in at the high because they've heard this person put out their alleged psychic information. They buy in at the high. Then everybody else is pulled out. They're stuck. It's like gambling. Okay. The other thing is, if you're following somebody that's like theta, right? You all know who I'm talking about. I'm not trying to be horrible. She freely admits that she holds theta, and she holds a lot, and she holds a lot of this, and she holds a lot of that, and she's sitting there telling you her top 10 holdings. And so she's going to do readings on her top 10 holdings, and she's going to give you information like theta is going to go to $3,000, $10,000. Did you buy it? Whatever is going to be this is going to be that. Okay. But that is her hopium entering into her prediction because she is so emotionally involved. Okay, so really the fact that I don't care about crypto, I don't, I don't know what to do with it, I don't move things from wallet to wallet, I don't know, right, is a benefit to you all. So you need to be mindful of that when you're following people. If you're following anonymous people on Twitter that you know nothing about, and they're putting out that XRP is going to resolve itself soon, because that created such a stir earlier this month. I had readings, I had people calling me up, XRP, 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 somebody on Twitter. Okay, well, how do you know that that person on Twitter doesn't hold 1 million XRP and is trying to get you hyped up so you buy it, right? Because obviously it's working because XRP has gone up. And so they can make money and get out of there while the getting out is still good. So you have to be very careful who you're listening to and who you're following. So I think we'll stop this one here. And if you want to book a reading with me, go to psychicblizzcross.com. I am booking out into late January and March now. So if you were contemplating getting a reading, I suggest you do it soon before I end up on another Channeling Eric show and doing some more collaborations, because at some point my calendar will cease to take any more bookings. It is set like that. So yeah. Anyway, anything from you, Mr. Shakespeare?
No, I think we need to wrap that one up now. That one's quite involved. No, I think you've covered absolutely everything there.
Well, I've tried, and yeah, I rabbited on far too much. So thank you very much.